Your raincoat is about to become your best friend for the next 10 days, and what is coming next week could dump snow in places that rarely see it. Stick with me because the weather models just shifted dramatically in the last 6 hours, and I am going to show you exactly when this hits your area. Right now, as I speak, 15 millimeters of rain has already fallen across southwest England in just the past 3 hours. That is more than some areas normally see in a week. But here is what nobody is talking about. This is just the warm-up act. Within the next 30 seconds, I am going to reveal which major city could see the heaviest snowfall next week, and it might shock you. The computer models all agree on something they have not agreed on in months. More on that in just a moment. But first, let me show you what is happening right this second. Heavy rain is hammering Wales, southwest England, and Northern Ireland. Aberdeen is getting pounded from the east. And here is the critical detail. Temperatures are sitting at 10 degrees Celsius in the south, but just 100 miles north, we are at freezing. That temperature boundary, that is where the battle is happening right now. Over the Pennines and the Peak District, snow is falling at elevations above 250 to 300 meters. Some areas above 500 meters could see 5 to 15 centimeters by tomorrow morning. The A682 through the Peak District, expect difficult driving conditions through tonight and into Friday morning. Now, you might be thinking that is normal for February. And you would be right. But here is the twist that changes everything. Comment below where you live right now, and I will give you the specific timing for your area, because what is coming next week is different, very different. Let me walk you through the next 48 hours first, then I will reveal what all three major weather models are screaming about for next week tonight, that rain keeps coming. Southern and southwestern England, Wales, Northern Ireland, you are looking at another 20 to 30 millimeters. Some spots could hit 40 to 50 millimeters. The ground is already saturated. Rivers are high. Flooding is not a possibility. It is happening right now in multiple locations. The rain warning for Wales and southwest England runs until 9 post-meridium tomorrow, Friday. Northern Ireland S warning expires at midnight Friday. Friday morning starts wet. That massive band of rain barely moves. If you are in northern England, you get drenched all day Friday. The far south might see it clear by afternoon, but even that is not guaranteed. Here is your temperature forecast for Friday. Southern areas, 11 to 13 degrees Celsius. Northern Scotland, 5 to 8 degrees. But those winds, especially in the southwest and northeast, will make it feel 3 to 4 degrees colder. Friday evening brings a brief dry slot for central and eastern areas. Brief means maybe 2 to 3 hours. Then more wind and rain pushes in from the southwest overnight into Saturday. Now this is interesting. Northern Ireland actually gets a break. Parts of northern England along the eastern side also see drier conditions compared to what you have endured this week. But southwest England and Wales, you get hammered again. That relentless southwestern moisture just keeps coming. Aberdeen and eastern Scotland, the rain comes at you from the east all day Saturday. It is going to be soggy. No other word for it. Saturday temperatures, north 5 to 8 degrees Celsius, south 10 to 13 degrees. Add in strong blustery winds from both southwest and northeast, and it feels colder than those numbers suggest. Sunday, same story. More rain pushing through. Maybe a few brief sunny spells, but do not count on it. Cloudy, wet, unsettled. Now we get to the part I promised you at the start, the part that made me record this video the moment I saw the latest model runs. Next week, something shifts. All three major forecasting models, the global forecast system, the European model, and the United Kingdom model, they all show cold air diving south. Not just cold air at high elevations, cold air reaching lower elevations, possibly even reaching some low-lying areas. Here is what we are looking at. Starting around Tuesday or Wednesday next week, northeasterly winds develop. Those winds pull cold air from Scandinavia. Right now, Denmark and Norway are seeing heavy snow and bitterly cold temperatures. That same air mass is heading our way. But, and this is the crucial detail, the Atlantic is still active. We still have low pressure systems. We still have moisture. What happens when cold air meets active moisture? Snow. Potentially significant snow. Now, let me be crystal clear. This is not the beast from the east. This is not the deep freeze we saw in early January where temperatures stayed below 6 or 7 degrees for 3 weeks straight. This is not going to be that. What this is a marginal setup. And marginal setups are actually more dangerous for disruption because the line between rain, sleet, and snow is razor thin. That line moves. It shifts with every degree of temperature change. The European model is the most aggressive. It shows a locked-in colder spell for 4 to 5 days starting mid-next week. Temperatures in London could drop to 4 or 5 degrees Celsius during the day, 2 to 3 degrees at some points. Northern areas close to freezing with frosts. But here is where it gets really interesting for snow potential. The models are showing multiple marginal snow events, not one big snowstorm. Multiple smaller events where precipitation falls, temperatures hover right around freezing, and snow is possible even at low elevations. Manchester, you need to pay attention to this. Wednesday and Thursday next week, you are right in the zone where this could go either way. Rain, sleet, or snow. The difference is 1 degree Celsius. Birmingham, same situation. You sit right on that boundary. Leeds and Sheffield, you are colder, more likely to see snow if these systems develop as modeled. Newcastle, you are almost certainly seeing snow next week if this pattern holds. Edinburgh and Glasgow, you are in the cold sector. Snow is likely, possibly accumulating snow. Aberdeen, you have been getting pounded from the east all week. Next week, that continues, but colder, much colder. London and the southeast, you are the warmest zone. But even you could see brief snow showers if the timing lines up wrong. Or right, depending on whether you like snow. Let me give you the specific timing as it stands right now. Understanding this could shift. Monday next week, still unsettled. Rain showers, temperatures near average. Tuesday, the change begins. Northeasterly winds increase. Temperatures start dropping. Northern areas feel it first. Wednesday, this is likely the first significant day. Cold air is more widespread. Any precipitation in northern England, the Midlands, and Scotland has a good chance of falling as snow, especially over hills, but possibly lower. Thursday, possibly the coldest day. This is when London and the southeast might see something wintry. Friday next week, it depends on which model is correct. Some show the cold air holding on, others show milder air trying to push back in. The weekend after next, milder air likely wins, but we could see several transitions back and forth. Here is what makes this pattern particularly tricky. We are not looking at a stable, locked pattern. We are looking at a battle. Cold air from the north and east, mild air from the south and west. They are going to fight. That fight happens right over the United Kingdom. When air masses battle, that is when you get the heaviest precipitation. That is when you get rapid changes. That is when forecasts become difficult, even 24 hours out. The GFS model shows temperatures in southern areas potentially swinging from 2 or 3 degrees one day to 9 or 10 degrees the next. That is a 7-degree swing in 24 hours. That kind of volatility means weather conditions can change dramatically and quickly. Snow depths, if this colder pattern locks in as the European model suggests, northern hills could accumulate substantial snow. We are talking totals that could reach 20 to 30 centimetres over several days in the highest areas of Scotland and northern England. Lower elevations are much harder to pin down. A lot depends on precipitation timing and intensity, but 5 to 10 centimetres is not out of the question for some Midland areas if everything aligns. Now, I want to show you something the average forecast does not tell you. Look at the ensemble model runs. These are dozens of slightly different scenarios, all run together. The GFS ensemble shows more variability, but definitely a colder signal next week. Not every run goes cold, but more do than do not. The European ensemble is more bullish. More runs show sustained cold. More runs show snow even at lower elevations. What does that mean in plain English? It means confidence is building that we will see colder air next week. The question is not if, but how cold, how long, and exactly where the snow falls versus rain. This is also not just about snow. The bigger story for many of you is the continued rainfall. We have already seen flooding across parts of southwest England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. The ground cannot absorb anymore. River levels are elevated. And we have more rain coming this weekend, then more rain early next week before the pattern shifts colder. That combination, saturated ground plus more rain, equals ongoing flood risk. If you live in a flood-prone area, now is the time to prepare, not when the water is rising. Specific areas of concern for flooding through this weekend: Somerset, Devon, Cornwall, parts of Wales, especially Pembrokeshire and Carmarthenshire, counties in Northern Ireland, especially County Down and County Antrim. Now, let me address what some of you are thinking. Is climate change making this worse? Here is what we know. Wetter winters in the United Kingdom have become more common over the past 30 years. The amount of rain falling in extreme events has increased. So yes, when it rains, it tends to rain harder than it used to. But weather patterns like we are seeing with cold and mild air battling, these have always happened. February in the United Kingdom has always been unpredictable. What we are seeing next week is not unprecedented. It has just been a while since we have seen this particular setup. The last time we had a similar pattern was actually late February 2023. Some of you might remember that. We saw several days of snow showers, some accumulation in unexpected places, then rapid melts and more rain. Here is what I need you to do right now. 1, comment below with your location. I will try to give you more specific guidance for your area. 2, check your local drainage. Clear gutters, unblock drains if you can safely do so. More rain is coming. 3. If you need to travel next week, especially Wednesday and Thursday, check conditions before you leave. Do not assume roads will be clear. 4. If you have not already, make sure you have essentials at home. We are not talking about a blizzard lockdown, but if you live in rural areas at elevation, you might face disruption. 5. Keep an eye on forecast updates. This pattern is going to evolve. What I am telling you today is based on models run this morning. By tomorrow, details will sharpen or possibly change. Let me give you the bottom line. This weekend, more rain, especially southwest England, Wales, Northern Ireland, and eastern Scotland. Flooding remains a risk. Temperatures mild but feeling cold under the wind and rain. Early next week, Monday and Tuesday, still unsettled but temperatures near normal. Mid to late next week, Wednesday through Friday, colder air arrives. Snow becomes possible even at lower elevations, especially northern England and Scotland, but potentially reaching the Midlands. The exact track of each system will determine who sees snow versus rain. Following weekend, milder air tries to return, but the pattern remains volatile. The longer range, beyond 10 days, shows this oscillation between cold and mild continuing through the middle part of February. We are not going into a sustained freeze. We are going into a period where weather changes frequently and sometimes dramatically. For those of you who enjoy snow, next week offers the best chance we have seen in a while for something more widespread. For those of you tired of the wet weather, I have got bad news. Even when it turns colder, we still have precipitation. It just might fall as snow instead of rain. Here is something almost nobody talks about. Marginal snow events, where temperatures hover right around freezing. These often produce the wettest, heaviest snow. Why? Because the air holds more moisture at temperatures near freezing than at very cold temperatures. So if we do see snow at lower elevations next week, it could be the heavy, wet kind, the kind that sticks to trees and power lines, the kind that makes shoveling exhausting, the kind that causes tree branches to snap. I am not saying that will happen. I am saying it is within the range of possibilities. Power companies should be aware, transport authorities should be preparing, and you should be ready for potential disruption, especially if you live at elevation or in northern areas. One more thing. You know what is fascinating about this pattern? 3 weeks ago, we were in a sustained cold spell. Everyone was talking about beast from the east potential. Then it flipped mild and wet. Now we are potentially flipping back colder, but not as cold as January. This is actually more typical February behavior for the United Kingdom. Oscillating patterns, unsettled weather, mix of rain and snow, temperature swings. What was unusual was January. That sustained cold was actually the anomaly. All right, let me wrap this up with your action plan. Today and tonight, more heavy rain. Take precautions if you are in flood risk areas. Friday, rain continues, especially northern areas. Saturday and Sunday, southwest gets hammered again. Northern areas, mix of rain and showers. Monday, transition day, watch for changes. Tuesday, cold air begins arriving from the northeast. Wednesday and Thursday, prime days for wintry weather, snow possible even at lower elevations in northern England, Midlands, and Scotland. Friday next week, uncertain, depends on how quickly milder air returns. Remember, this is a fluid situation. Model guidance has shifted toward colder in the last 24 hours, but it could shift again. That is why you need to stay updated. If you want detailed, location-specific forecasts, drop your town or city in the comments. I will do my best to respond with timing and what to expect. And here is your teaser for my next video. I am going to break down exactly how to read weather models yourself. I am going to show you the tools meteorologists use, how to interpret what you are seeing, and how to spot when a forecast is about to change. Because next week is going to be one of those weeks where the forecast might change day to day, and I want you to be able to see it coming. That video drops in 48 hours. Make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss it. The bottom line, wet weekend ahead, then a dramatic shift to colder next week with snow potential even at lower elevations. The exact details will become clearer over the next few days, but the pattern change is coming. Prepare now, stay informed.